It's time to go to work with Kansas City's entrepreneurs, inventors, brand builders, and business icons.
When you are running a startup, you're creating something out of absolutely nothing.
Being an entrepreneur is like being on an emotional roller coaster, and oftentimes when you start a company, it's just you.
We never had a big vision or big dream of we're going to be this big or be that big.
Experience the hands-on fits and starts of innovative business building going on right here, right now in our community. This is reality TV that works. Startups made in Kansas City.
I came up with the idea for Fnect because I just kind of ended my last sports season playing high school soccer, and I was really missing being an athlete and being involved with games and stuff, and I was thinking about the psychology of a fan and how we all kind of were either involved with athletics at some point or played, and everyone is kind of looking for a way to get back into the game, and that's why we are such competitive fans.
Fnect is a sports app that's a social platform for sports fans. It's a place that will give credit and give due credit to large, meaningful events inside of sports fans' lives. So it's a social platform for sports fans, but with an underlying meaning and mission, and that mission is to prove who has the best sports fans.
Fnect is a way to quantify which teams have the best sports fans, and then after that, also lets fans see where they rank within their team as a fan. So if you're a fan, you can A, fight to prove that your team has better fans than your rivals, and then B, to prove that you are the #1 fan within your team.
If you ask a KU fan if they have better fans than Missouri, every single one of them is going to say yes. And you walk across the border, Missouri fans are going to say the exact same thing. And so Fnect is really the gamification of being a sports fan, where sports fans can gather and have their own social platform, but then also be fighting for their teams, like Hunter mentioned, to prove who in fact has the best fans and where they rank inside their team as a fan. So I came up with the concept of a very low-friction, non-intrusive advertising inside of apps because I felt like it was a very happy medium between what's out there. So right now, you've got kind of two sides of the spectrum. You have an app for, say, for example, Angry Birds, where there's pop-ups constantly, and it kind of destroys the user interface inside of an app. And then you have, on the other side of the spectrum, Instagram, where there's zero ads. There's nothing that's getting in the way of the user interface or the user experience while they're using the app. So to keep the lights on inside of an app, you have to monetize. My idea was to find that happy medium, and the example that I use is there is a segment inside of SportsCenter called the Coors Light Cold Hard Facts 6-pack of questions. It's a perfect example of the way we're going to try and monetize inside of Fnect. When people hear Coors Light, they don't mind because they go, it's a very simple, straightforward branding piece, and they move straight to the content. Doing that doesn't destroy any of the user experience inside of an app or that show. So inside of Fnect, what we're going to do is actually seek out large brands to sponsor each of the games inside of Fnect. The Fnect games are the core of the app.
So answering to investors is a lot different because basically now it's like more than just trying to keep my job. I'm also just trying to pay back someone who really trusted me and put a lot of faith in me from the beginning. So I think for me, it's a lot more motivating to work for someone who gave me their trust from the beginning than someone who's just kind of ruling what I do on a day-to-day basis.
When you are running a startup, you're creating something out of absolutely nothing. It's utter chaos. There's some days where you have no idea exactly what to do or how to do it. And finding the drive and the passion every single day, going to work and knowing that there's a large goal at hand, and all you can do is apply yourself to the best of your ability to achieve these goals on a day-to-day basis. You have to wear so many different hats that I think it's distracting so many times because you can get so focused doing one part of the business. For example, developing the app. Well, developing the app isn't going to tell a bunch of people about Fnect. So you have to develop the app, then tell a bunch of people. Well, you can't do any of those things if you don't have the money to make those things happen, the marketing, the development. So I would say staying focused on achievable goals is difficult, but that's also the beauty of a startup and the beauty of especially a tech startup. It's very fun for me to go to work every day to develop a mobile sports app that's also my own company. I mean, that's kind of a dream come true. I've always been a sports fan. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So combining the two and going and telling, you know, all my friends and family and people who I've never met before about Fennect is very, very enjoyable experience.
This is reality TV that works. Startups made in Kansas City.
Okay, we'll get started this morning. KC Roundtable is a group of 20 and 30-year-old entrepreneurs who come and help and support and collaborate each other.
Kansas City has an award. It's the Ingrams 20 in their 20s award. And at a reception, I met one of the other recipients. His name is Seth. We decided to go out to breakfast. And at the end of the breakfast, he asked if I wanted to meet the very next Thursday for breakfast again. And at the end of that next Thursday breakfast, he asked if I wanted to make it a regular Thursday thing. So we started inviting other friends, other entrepreneurs who were part of the Kansas City community. And over 4 years, it grew. Has a board and a president, so it's quite a fantastic story.
As president, it's my responsibility to make sure that we have the right leadership team in place for the group, to make certain that we've determined kind of our message and goals for the year and that we're staying on message. We're following through with the different events that we have said we're going to have, that we're being consistent with our meetings.
I'm in charge of getting the speakers and the other content for the KC Roundtable group, and we have speakers every 3 out of 5 groups usually, and the other 2 times we talk about each other's businesses, helping each other out, what problems they're seeing, and how we can solve some of their issues.
Today we're very honored to have Burnett Hellsberg, who has a very interesting past and a successful past, and we'll learn much more about him.
Except for your questions, I mean, if I could share 1 or 2 good things with you, that'd be great.
The reason why I got involved when I did my internet company, I had no idea what to do, where to go, or even where to start. And so I kind of found KC Roundtable and went to the first meeting and realized that I don't know a lot. I needed a lot to learn. And so that's why I got involved with KC Roundtable, and when I launched it helped out quite a bit.
Being an entrepreneur is like being on an emotional roller coaster, and oftentimes when you start a company, it's just you. You don't have anybody to share those experiences or fears with, or even any of your great successes. And KC Roundtable gives us the opportunity to share our experiences, get advice from other people going through the exact same thing.
Our key message is that this is a place to come and be authentic, be real, and be vulnerable. And if you're not willing to be vulnerable, you're not willing to expose kind of your areas of pain or needed growth, then you're really not going to get much out of this group.
You don't always have to be on and have to be selling all the time. You can just be honest and authentic at this group and really get good feedback from peers who care about you and your business.
And we're all lucky enough to have mentors and advisors who could give us the right answers on what we should be doing, but it's more fun to be around peers who are having the same struggles you are, who can just commiserate with you.
The magic of KC Roundtable is that we are vulnerable to one another, that there is a lot of trust, and that we can go to one another and say, yeah, business is going okay, but I'm really concerned about this particular threat or this particular weakness, and how can we really improve upon them in those areas. To get involved in KC Roundtable, just show up at the First Watch in Westport. We meet the first and third Thursday of every month at 7:30 in the morning. You can visit our website at kcroundtable.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at KC Roundtable.
Kansas City, as a lot of people know, is a blooming entrepreneurship city. And that comes from all the way from the top all the way down to the entrepreneurs who are actually building the companies. And there's a lot of great events happening in Kansas City, and most of them happen at night after work. And so our little niche is to bring in like-minded people, kind of a peer-to-peer type of group that you can share and collaborate with. And we help everybody else out in the startup community as well by going to their events. They come to ours, and we're trying to build Kansas City into the entrepreneurship city in the country.
This is reality TV that works. Startups made in Kansas City.
Well, it's a pretty big warehouse, and I grew up on roller skates, so back in the days when we used to have to count our own inventory before we had all these wonderful people to do it for us, I used to roller skate through these places. Here we are at our Title Boxing headquarters, our warehouse distribution center right here in good Lenexa, Kansas, and I think we're going to be shipping close to 1,000 orders today.
When we first decided to get in the equipment business, you know, David and I bantered around a couple names, and there was a apparel brand called Champion, and I'm like, oh, Champion, you know, you're a champion. Okay, and I'm like, unboxing, you win the title. And I'm like, oh, you win a title belt? Yeah, title. We ran it through our trademark attorney, and he's like, yeah, and that's how we came up with Title Boxing. And
I sometimes like to take credit for the name, but he's actually telling the truth. Fortunately, we're in the position where Title is popular enough to where if it says Title, we can sell it. So our brand is where we want it to be, and we continue to come out with more and more apparel, whether it's warm-ups or jackets or fight shorts, workout shorts. We continue to come out with more stuff, and the old stuff continues to sell. So we're in a good spot right now.
I actually started boxing when I was 8 years old. I was small for my age, so I wanted to get into something that went by weight. I went to a boxing workout, and the first time I walked in, I was just enamored with boxing, and it's been a passion of mine ever since I was 8 years old.
My father has a company that sells roller skates, and he's been in the distribution business of sporting goods since I was 10 years old. So I grew up in a warehouse atmosphere, and I've worked in sporting goods my whole life.
I boxed amateur for 10 years, won the Golden Gloves a couple times. I got a Golden Glove scholarship. I was able to attend Kansas State University and graduated from there. When I got out, I always wanted to try and continue doing something with boxing because it was a passion of mine.
We worked together at another sporting goods place and got together, and not only did we become friends, but we decided, you know, let's do something on our own, and I think we can get into this boxing business and be as big as we can. So this is our Title Boxing warehouse. We started at less than 3,000 square feet. Now we have 165,000 square feet to house 16,000 different SKUs of inventory. So, you know, each one of these spaces, that means we have 16,000 of these within the walls of this warehouse. We'll have over $20 million worth of inventory at the present moment.
When we started in 1998, the internet really didn't have shopping carts at that time. So the mail order business was you produced a catalog, you sent it out to a mailing list, and crossed your fingers and hope your phone rang to get some orders.
We were hoping to be doing 20 orders a day. So Tony and I would answer the phones, and then we'd come back to the warehouse and pull them and pack them ourselves. And now we'll do, knock on wood, we'll do 20 orders in a minute.
Our goal at the time was, you know, we were just hoping that the two of us could make a living selling boxing equipment, and that was our goal, that was our dream. You know, I heard Dick Vitale once say, you know, he said, I'm the most blessed guy in the world because I get to get up every day and do something that I love, and I get to talk about basketball. And, you know, as soon as he said that, I'm like, wow. I mean, it was the same thing for me, same thing for David. It's like I get to go every day and go do a job I have a passion for and that I love. And I've never, ever woke up in the morning and regretted saying, boy, I have to go to work today. One of our very first orders was from Don King Productions, gloves for one of his title fights that he ordered from us. We have a very good relationship. We still work with them, you know, on a continual basis and deal with accounts like Top Rank and UFC, and we supply all kinds of big promotion companies. We supply people that are working out in their basement.
Our orders can range from two items for $100 to this is one big order going out overseas. So it's all over the map. So
it's a broad spectrum of customers, and there's men that are punching a bag in the garage, to world heavyweight champions. We do belts for for everything from professional fights to here's one for Mid-East Athletic Conference champions, and we customize them and we'll put their medallion, we'll put their logos, put them, and these belts weigh about 5 pounds, and these are the same belts that world champions receive.
And one of our claim to fame is we've done a lot of belts for the Green Bay Packers, and they do it for like the Special Teams Player of the Week, and we're almost positive that's where
they got the discount double check.
In regards to one of our first customers, Don King, he was famous for ordering last minute, and we would ship everything next day air, and it would always make it. And there was one time when it was just way too late. He ordered it way too late, and we literally put one of our guys on an airplane with a bag of fight gloves for a huge pay-per-view event, and made it in just the nick of time. And
he landed and literally got off the plane, got in a cab, walked into the MGM Grand, holding the bag, walked into they were having the weigh-ins, and they always inspect the gloves, the weigh-ins, both camps, so inspect the gloves. He comes walking into the bag, like, oh, it's perfect time, okay, come in, He puts them out there, and so.
20-year-old guy.
We're back here sweating bullets, and oh no, we're waiting, HBO's gonna come on tomorrow and say, fight's canceled, there was no gloves.
Everything.
There was no gloves for the fight, like, how could that happen?
It all worked out.
5, 4, 3, 2, and sprint it out. Let's go. Pick it up. High knees, push.
In 2008, actually it was November of 2007, Tom Lyons came to us with an idea to start Title Boxing Club. And Title Boxing Club sounded like a decent idea. We thought maybe a club could work in Overland Park, Kansas. And so we thought, yeah, let's try it out.
Our initial goal was to open, we didn't know, maybe 3 or 4 in Kansas City. It could hold that many or afford that many.
I thought 1.
Right.
You may have thought 3 or 4. I thought 1.
And so we opened up 2 corporate ones, and then one of our general managers came to us and said, boy, I love this concept, I love this idea. I would like to open up a franchise one. And so our first probably 5 or 6 that opened up were all either members or employees that said, boy, this is a great concept, this is awesome, I want to do this, and I want to do this in Belton, I want to do this in St. Joe, I want to do this in Topeka.
Currently we have just over 400 Title Boxing Club franchises sold, and we just opened our 70th of those 400. And we plan to open about 2 or 3 every week for the rest of this year.
The great thing about the fitness boxing market, the Title Boxing clubs, is it's probably about 70% women, female members, and for us, that's been kind of our biggest growth. It's outside of our box. It's outside of the amateur boxing, the professional boxing, the male man boxing, and so that's been our biggest growth area, is the fitness boxing. People that'll never get into a ring, they'll never go into a real boxing gym. They just want to go hit the bag and get the best workout possible.
5, 4, 3.
We never thought, to this date, all we thought about was tomorrow. How do we get 20 orders a day where we can each make a living, selling boxing equipment? And so, we never thought about the big picture. We just thought about the process. We've never had a victory dinner or celebration dinner or anything else. There's always someone chasing you. There's always someone trying to get to the top. So we've never looked back. We've always looked forward. What can we do tomorrow to get 12 orders instead of 10? What can we do, what can we do on Friday to get 15 orders instead of 13? And so it was always about the process and just getting bigger or stronger and better every day, win the day. We just always concentrate on what do we do to equipment to make it different, make it better, make it, make people want it. I guess it would be easy just to say, here's the boxing gloves that have been used and popular since, 1925, and people will still buy them and people will still want them. Our goal, obviously, was, how do we make them better? How do we get different technologies in there? How do we get something that wasn't available last year into this year? And so, things like the gel, things like, different linings, different leathers. It used to pretty much be boxing gloves were either black or maroon. We came out, we have blue, we have pink, we have white, we have, all different colors. So if they make tennis shoes in 85 different colors, why shouldn't you be able to get equipment in 85 different colors?
We do a lot of custom apparel for whether it's amateur boxers or professional boxers. Most of what you see either on ESPN or HBO is actually probably gone through our warehouse. So you can see a few examples of some of the crazy stuff that we're capable of.
You can get trunks, robes, any colors, any styles, any we put the names on them. We do we just do different.
And then these were Tony's when he fought.
They call me Pretty Boy, so. Yeah, the early advice we got from David's father was that
you'll never have enough money, and it'll be double the amount of work than you're expecting.
I think he told us when he wanted to see our business plan before we started, so we took it to him and we're like, oh, here's a guy that's been in business for 25 years in the same, sporting, and he looked at it and he said, I'll give you 2 words of advice. Cut your revenue projections in half and double your expenses.
Right.
And he gave it back to us. And I'm like, you didn't even read it. He's like, I don't need to read it. So that was, those were true and wise words. We always just kept reinvesting in the business, so we never, we skimped on ourselves and just always kept putting all the profit back in and just kept growing it, and we never took anything out to the detriment of our spouses.
Working with friends, they typically say you shouldn't really do that, but he's been a great partner. Our very first hire was a friend of ours again, and he's still with us. He runs our warehouse, and funny story, he asked us, he said his mom's moving into town and said, hey, is there any way that we could hire my mom? Tony and I are like, no, you can't hire your mom, are you serious? And sure enough, he talked us into it. She's still working here too.
Hi, Rita.
She's been here for 12 years? 13 years.
What's it like working with these crazy guys?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. Great bosses.
We've got a great staff here. Started off with those two. I think we have...
Our third employee was David's mother-in-law.
Yep.
And she still works here. And today we have, I believe, 105 employees, 110 employees. And so we grew from the two of us to, we're presently at 110. The first employee we ever hired, I probably didn't sleep for 2 nights. When it came to a point where, someone's utility bill or someone's car payment was relying on me to make the business successful, I got a little nervous, but that was one of the key hurdles that we got through when we were starting out.
He actually still has it.
Yeah. I learned that from Sugar Ray Leonard. Fortunately, we've been very blessed. We have a national brand now, but that was never our thing that we were striving for. What we did was we just said every day, let's just get a little better. What do we need to add new product? Do we need to make something, put better technology in it, different foams, different colors, different ideas. So ours was kind of about the process. We never had a big vision or big dream of we're going to be this big or be that big. It was just, let's just get better every day and see where that gets us.
a co-production of KCPT and Outpost Worldwide. At home in Kansas City. Production, post, content.